Hey everyone, so let's just start with a really big question. You know all those abstract things happening in your head right now? Your ideas, your memories, the very sentences you're forming? How on earth do they connect to the, physical, wet, biological stuff that is your brain? It's one of the biggest puzzles in science, and today we're going to dive right into that relationship between the mind's symbolic world and the brain's neural reality.
I mean, seriously, how does the mind work? This single question is pretty much the bedrock of the entire field of cognitive science. It sounds so simple, right? But the answer is just incredibly complex. And you've got decades of the smartest people on the planet trying to crack this very nut.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the journey from computers to neurons, then we'll get into this fascinating idea of thinking as symbol manipulation. After that, we'll talk about the mind's own language of thought. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways. Let's get started. First up, from computers to neurons. This is all about the evolving landscape of how we even model the mind. Okay, so if we rewind to the 1950s, the hottest new idea was the computer metaphor. The thinking was, hey, the mind is basically just software and the brain is the hardware it runs on. You had these early AI programs like the logic theorist that could solve logic puzzles, and it really seemed like thinking was just a set of algorithms. But by the 80s, you could start to see the cracks. This purely computational view really struggled to explain things we humans do without even trying, like instantly recognizing a friend in a crowd, or just being flexible and adapting. And then, bam, the 1990s hit. It was called the decade of the brain for a reason. We got tools like fMRI that let us literally watch the brain in action, and that just changed everything. So here's the core shift, right? The whole debate moved. We went from this pure computation idea, where the brain's hardware was kind of seen as beside the point, to a neuroscientific integration view. And this new approach basically says, hold on a second, you absolutely cannot understand the software if you ignore the hardware. The brain isn't just any old computer. Its unique biological structure, the way our neurons are actually wired, fundamentally shapes and constrains how we think. And you know what? This new approach is literally in your pocket. Think about your phone and how it can instantly find all the photos of a specific person. How does it do that? Well, it's using neural networks. These are AI models that are directly inspired by the structure of the human brain. It's a perfect case of technology learning from biology.
All right, next section. Let's talk about thinking as symbol manipulation. This gets into something called the physical symbol system hypothesis, or PSSH.
So check this out. Back in 1976, two pioneers, Alan Newell and Herbert Simon, came out with this just incredibly bold claim. They said that a physical symbol system has the necessary and sufficient means for general intelligent action. What that means is that any system, and I mean any system, whether it's a brain or a computer, if it can manipulate physical patterns or symbols according to a set of rules, then it has everything it needs to be intelligent. That's it. That's the whole shebang.
So how does this actually work? Well, the core idea is that thinking is basically like a game of chess. You've got your pieces, those are the symbols, and you've got a rule book for how to move them. What's amazing is that this simple setup can explain two really deep things about our own minds. First, productivity. That's our ability to create an infinite number of new ideas from just a handful of mental tools. And second, systematicity. This is just the idea that our thoughts are structured. So if you can think the dog chased the cat, you can automatically think the cat chased the dog. The system allows for it. And you can see this kind of thinking in the real world today. Just look at the insane logistics systems that companies like Amazon run. What are those AIs doing? They're treating everything, packages, trucks, warehouses, destinations, as symbols. Then they use a massive, complex rule book to figure out the most efficient way to get that package to your door. It's pure symbol manipulation on a global scale. But there's a huge problem, a massive challenge to this whole idea. And it's a question that really cuts to the heart of what it means to actually understand something. It's called the symbol grounding problem, and the best way to get it is with this classic analogy. Imagine you're locked in a room, and you have to learn Chinese, but all you have is a Chinese to Chinese dictionary. You can look up a symbol, and the definition is just more symbols. You could do this forever, right? You'd get really good at manipulating the symbols, but you'd never actually know what any of them mean. You'd never connect the symbol for chair to an actual chair. You're just trapped in a circle of symbols. And that's the problem for these AI systems. How do their symbols ever get connected or grounded in the real world?
Okay, so that leads us perfectly into our third big idea for today, the language of thought. This is a hypothesis that our thinking itself has a hidden structure, kind of like a language. So, this was proposed by the philosopher Jerry Fodor, and it's a wild idea. The hypothesis is that we don't actually think in English or Spanish or Japanese. No, we think in a much more fundamental, universal mental language. People have nicknamed it mentalese. And the idea is that this inner language has its own vocabulary, our basic concepts, and its own syntax, its own grammar for combining those concepts into thoughts. And the way it works is actually pretty elegant. You start with a finite set of mental words, your basic concepts. Then you have a set of mental grammar rules that let you combine these concepts into more and more complex thoughts. It's exactly how spoken language works, right? A limited number of words, a set of rules, and boom, you get infinite possibilities. This system lets us build a limitless number of new thoughts.
This is the magic behind how you can understand a sentence that you have, for sure, never, ever heard before. Like this one, purple elephants juggle flaming keyboards. You've never heard that sentence, but you instantly get it. Your mind doesn't just freeze, it effortlessly takes the concepts, purple, elephants, juggling, and uses its internal grammar to stitch them together into a meaningful, if completely bizarre image. That's mentalese in action.
And look, this isn't just some wacky philosophical thought experiment. This theory is actually the foundation for some serious computational models of the mind. There's one called ACTR, which is one of the most successful attempts to simulate how we humans learn new skills. It models the mind as a system that learns everything from basic math to how to fly a plane by doing what? By manipulating symbolic structures according to rules. It is a direct working implementation of the language of thought hypothesis. Okay, that was a whirlwind tour from computer brains to mentalese. So let's bring it all home. What are the key takeaways from all this? All right, let's break it down. First, the big picture. Cognitive science grew up. It moved on from seeing the mind as just software and realized that the brain's actual physical hardware is absolutely essential. Second, that powerful idea, the PSSH, that intelligence is just about shuffling symbols, it's a great start, but it slams right into the symbol grounding problem. Third, the language of thought, or mentalese, gives us a really compelling story for how our thinking is so productive and so systematic. And finally, and this is probably the most important point of all, it's not a choice. It's not brains or symbols. To really understand the mind, you have to look at all the different levels, from the messy firing of neurons all the way up to the clean logic of algorithms. So I'll leave you with this. As AI gets smarter and smarter, what do you think we're going to find at its core? Will it be running on the clean, logical rules of a symbol system? Will it be based on the messy, tangled, brain-inspired logic of neural nets? Or is it going to be something completely new, something we haven't even thought of yet? The answer, whatever it is going to tell us a whole lot, not just about our machines, but about ourselves.